Welcome back, guys. Pipe It Up podcast here. Got a great episode coming today.
I'm struggling.
Tom's struggling over here with his mic. He got to chop it up with Russell this morning.
I did.
Part 2 here, down new fit with
Father's Day fits.
The Father's Day fits here.
Yes.
So, we talk Magic Predators sweep, bring out the brooms. Sorry, guys. We talk.
just fire up, Jack. You can be happy. It's okay.
Come on. 5-1.
I had to be on here sad. I'll let you have the moment and be happy.
All right, appreciate it.
At least one of us is, right?
Appreciate it. Got a couple other housekeeping items, some good announcements, some inside scoop too at the end of the episode.
Some father-son stories.
Father-son stories. We hit it all. So make sure you guys tune in here. And this is the Pipe It Up podcast. Cue the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. Thank you for joining us again. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. We are recording this on Father's Day. And going to be a bit of a somber start to today's episode as we are joined by Brennan Russell, fresh off of an absolute stinker for the Preds, for lack of a better word. Brennan, you've been a good sport about this. I know sometimes it's tough to face the media after a tough series, but overall, you have to, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, we got to own up to it. Obviously, we got to be able to move past it, right?
We do.
In doing that, we got to face it. We got to talk to the people, let them know what's going on the inside of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, I had the exact same issue when I played the Wildcats. Had to do the podcast. Was not looking forward to it, but you can't avoid it. People want answers. They want to hear from you. So I appreciate you being a good sport and coming on today. But the rain series did not go the Predators' way, unfortunately. It was a wet one. That's the first thing I want to talk about today is actually that exact point, just how wet it was. And I don't think the cameras and the video really did it justice as to how bad it was. So in your words, Russell, describe the conditions at the Meadows on that rainy Sunday.
Yeah, it was kind of nostalgic because we were always thinking back to the rain series we had back in 2018 against the Seahawks, which was significantly heavier rain, but that was a really fun series nonetheless. Felt like kids playing in the mud kind of idea. And that's what we were hoping to bring. That's what we were hoping to bring to this one. And I mean, it went a little bit differently to say the least.
It did for sure.
I mean, the rain it didn't let up. It was you couldn't really see it in the video, but it was nonstop. The entire series, the entire time, it was very consistent to say the least. So,
I was trying to reflect back myself, and I can't remember a day that was quite that bad in many years. The 2021 All-Star game was a wet one, and that was unfortunate because I was a big shoot, made the home run derby after. I think it finally stopped for the derby. But for an actual series video, it was probably the worst one since then was the when you guys played the Seahawks years and years ago when we first opened up the Meadows. Because it was, we were out there for 4 hours, guys. There was not a single let up. I mean, it was just steady rain the entire time. The field needed it. As you guys could see, it was so dry. So we need all the rain we can get around here. But it was unfortunate that it fell on that specific day. And we had we couldn't really move the game because the Detroit series got delayed. So we didn't have a video for that Friday. So rubber was meeting the road, and the Preds and Magic had to play that day. Everyone was pretty good sports about it, unfortunately, fortunately, I should say. But I did feel bad. It's not easy as a hitter, as a pitcher, anything to have to deal with that. Especially, once again, if it's like a light rain or it's like it rains, like a rain shower, whatever. But for the whole entire series, that was just like everyone was soaked before the first pitch. So that sucks.
Yeah, exactly. And it was nice. We had a little extra rain cover for like our dugout area. So
you did,
we
yes.
didn't all want to be like,
shout out the
we brought an extra thing for it. So yeah, but no, it was definitely a little bit tougher. Let's get the excuse out of the way now. If it was raining the entire time, ball was getting wet, your hands were wet, the bat was wet. It was hard to make good contact on things, but I mean, nonetheless, it's doable. And
it was doable. There's no lightning or thunder or anything. Wind wasn't too bad. It was definitely cold. I know you and I were talking because I wasn't thinking straight. It was just, it's been hot in Michigan the last few weeks, and it was hot that morning. But when the rain came and the clouds came, it was chilly. It was definitely chilly out there. And when you're wet, of course, it doesn't help.
Yeah. And there was a time that, I mean, even though the series was just like a bummer through the entire time, we were able to find a little bit of fun in seeing how miserable Trevor Bonham looked out there. I mean, he looked.
No hat was a bold move on that particular day.
Dude,
although a lot of guys went that route, but I don't know why.
Dude, I don't either. I wore my hat specifically for that. Like, it's just wet. Like, I'd rather not have rain falling in my eyes the entire time. It affected me. But, man, it cracked me up seeing him just like that and just so miserable out there.
You know who took it like an absolute champ, and I guess no surprise he played well, was RJ. I got to the field, and RJ was already out there grinding, getting warmed up. I think he was taking batting practice from, like, his mom or someone he came with. Pitching, like, I don't think he even made a comment about the rain. The kid was so locked in.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's a tough kid. He's a tough kid. I mean, he being a lot younger than everyone else in the league, I think he understands that he can't really show any kind of
that's true.
Show any feelings, show any like emotion other than like being hyped up kind of thing or being excited.
Yeah.
If he's down in the dumps or anything like that, I mean, he's just gonna ruin his own morale.
Probably. It's a good point. What about, did Ryan or Steve show any sort of concern in regards to the rain in terms of pitching prior to the series starting?
Not really. I mean, the only thing that especially that Cratch was saying too, is that certain pitches that, I mean, he usually has dialed in or locked in weren't moving very well or weren't working very well. I don't know how the ball or how the water really affects the ball in terms of,
I don't either,
its movement, but he was saying like he had to resort back to like very, easy pitches for him, basic pitches that people would see often. So it wasn't the best, but at the same time, it's not like we were getting anything that was unseeable either. But I kind of wanted to add in a comment from a moment ago was with this series being a little bit more inflexible. We had to get it out due to the Detroit series and things like that. And with everyone's schedule being so strict and, because everyone's scattered all around the place, it made it a little bit tougher for our draft pick Longman to come out. We've been giving him notice. We've been trying to get him out there, but his schedule's been really tight as well. He's got a lot of football camps going on, a lot of football things that he's really, really into, really dedicated to. And then at the same time, the same weekend as the series happened, he had someone close to him pass away. So he had a couple good reasons not to be showing up, and it made it a little bit tougher for him to make it out here, especially being out in Portage and all. So it was it's been a little bit frustrating not having him come out because we could really use that extra bat. But kind of speaking into the flexibility that we're trying to gain from him and
it's definitely been a bummer that he hasn't been able to make it, but understandable. But yeah, I mean, not just even like your 4-hitter or 3-hitter spots. I feel like as a whole, you guys just really struggled through and through. I mean, these are the numbers that I quickly tallied up here, Russell, moments ago. I believe in the 3-game series. Do you want to guess how many times you guys struck out?
In the 3-game series,
one game went to 4 innings, so there was 10 innings of wiffle ball played.
Jeez, 28.
Okay, no, not quite that bad.
No, 26.
I counted 24. So there was
24.
six non-strikeouts, and in that same span, you guys had 3 hits only, and you did not score a run.
Another thing that I'd like to know, I mean, even in this last series, and I don't think you have this number, but I mean, how many runners did we leave stranded?
That's a good question because you guys have walked a little bit, but quite a bit. I mean, it felt like at least like
that's
what the Mallards were known for in the 2020 year, 2021. We struck out a ton. We had several series or stretches of games where we didn't score a run. The Gators were a team who did it to us twice in a row, 2 seasons in a row where we played a series against them and did not score a run. So I've been there, and it's definitely frustrating. There was a play, too, I wanted to talk about where you almost homered. I think it was in the first game in extra innings. You put one to right field off of RJ. When you're already like down bad as an offense and a play like that happens, is it like almost worse than a strikeout, or does it give you hope?
It's better than a strikeout for sure. It gives us hope. I was able to start working him on his pitches and whatnot in the first game and started feeling really well up against him. Kind of then by the end, I mean, after just being so defeated for 2 games in a row, and then the third game's already not starting out well. It's just like, man, let's just get this over with at this rate. Like it was
no,
wet,
that's what I saw,
like,
unfortunately. And trust me, it was tough to watch because I feel like we just went through a series like that too, where like the first game was neck and neck, and the second game was close too, and then the third game, like it just seems like it starts to slip away faster and faster and faster. And like in your guys' last at bats there in the third inning, there was a couple of strikeouts to end the game, and I could just tell like there was no wind behind the sails anymore. And I felt bad for you guys, and it was unfortunate for you guys just because the AL standings are as tight as they are. Because now you guys sit at 1-5, then you have the Cobras at 3-3, the Cats at 5-1, and the Magic at 5-1. So you guys are in a tough spot. I know it's early, and there's still a lot of wiffle ball to be played, but it's not where you want to find yourself. The D-backs were in a similar situation last year, and they climbed out, so it's definitely not. You can't throw in the towel yet, but you got to start winning some series for sure. Starting now.
And this is like the turnaround time, right? Like, so this is where we got to figure it out, or we're done after 3 series pretty much, and then we'll just see what we can do from there. But it's really go time. We've had a couple of poor series, and I don't know what it is. I mean, it's really hard to put a pin in it.
I was going to ask you because. Like, can you describe, because he's still a newer pitcher, he's only faced you guys as well as the Gators. What do you think it was that was RJ? Like, what was so difficult about seeing him and hitting him?
I don't think and this is personally, and this might be room for controversy, I don't know. I don't think he's that, like, phenomenal of a pitcher. Like, he's nothing, like, crazy. He's very, very good at locating his pitches. He's very good at making you chase pitches. So I think it really comes down to you being disciplined as a batter. I mean, in the first series, I went 1 for 2 on him, with my only out being the fly out, almost home run kind of situation. And so really a lot of it is, I think he does really good at like mixing up his pitches and changing his tempo. I think he does really, really well at that, locating his pitches. But I think we gave him a lot of free strikes in the beginning to kind of build up his confidence, kind of swinging at outside pitches, inside pitches, or whatever, kind of chasing a little bit. But that's not taking away anything of what he can do. I mean, he's very good. He's very good. The Magic really needed him. I don't think he's as like crazy,
like 4
insane,
shutouts
like,
type of guy.
Yeah. Like I definitely think we should have had a couple of runs on him. It was just a matter of, we did not get any timely hits. We left the bases loaded a time or two. We left a couple runners on. We left a guy on third and second. Like, there's things like that where we just need someone to, clutch up and, be smart. Like, we have a lot of people trying to be the hero in the instances and like, I'm going to take this 1 yard, and they start swinging garbage pitches, and next thing you know, we're out. Now we have 0 runs.
I agree. I wasn't going to really get into that too much until Jack was in the call. But once again, this is not a knock on RJ or anything. He's young, and seems to be getting only better. But I agree that I don't think we can call him like elite yet. I just feel like it really was a bad day for you guys. I mean, it was a tough day. I don't think you guys displayed how good of a team you are. I didn't expect to see that type of performance. But RJ threw well, and you guys didn't perform at your best. So a combination of those two things.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, clearly we haven't been hitting very well this year. The first series wasn't a bad series in terms of hitting. A lot of times when we get those second arms that come in that we haven't really seen firsthand quite often, we're like, oh, we're gonna smoke this guy. Like, we're gonna take him out after the first inning kind of thing, and then we just get shut up like immediately. Yeah. So that's happened, I mean, time and time again. I mean, when Saylor came in to start pitching, we're like, dude, all he throws is the riser, and we're gonna clean him up. And he throws a shutout against us. We're like, what? It's the same thing with Gavin Reski back in the day. All I did was throw a fastball, and you still couldn't hit him. Like, well, it's the same kind of concept of like, it's someone new you haven't seen, and you don't think his pitches are that crazy, and you're like, oh, we're gonna rake off of him, and you just, for a reason, can't put a bat in the ball.
Yeah, new pitchers definitely have a huge advantage in the league, and RJ's new in a way too, where we've never seen a guy who's even remotely close to 6'5". So that's a little bit of a different ball game from 38 feet away. It still looks almost fake because when he pitches, he strides the entire length of the turf. Like, he's off the turf while he's throwing, which no one else in the league is close to that. We don't really have a lot of tall pitchers. I can't think of any. I mean, Schultz is average height. Jimmy's average height. Barron's probably a little taller, but he's not 6'5". Ryan's probably 6 foot, maybe.
I'd say Barron and Cratch, maybe.
Yeah, which are, once again, they're probably 5-6 inches shorter than RJ.
Dude, it was hysterical seeing Kyle interviewing him.
I was laughing setting up the camera shot.
Even like off camera in the back, where Kyle stands behind a film, RJ was back there chatting with him, and he's literally Kyle's on the stool. Kyle on the stool. It was great.
Yeah, if we ever take a group photo for MLW, I don't want to stand next to RJ. I'm gonna look like an absolute shrimp.
Yeah,
he was so tall. Funny. The gentle giant, but. Yeah, he looked phenomenal. I mean, Jack and I'm sure we'll get into it again, but we'll see.
I mean, good. No, good for them.
Great for them.
They definitely need it.
It's just funny because
nice to see them turning things around.
Like, RJ we knew he had potential, but I feel like all the eyes and attention was on Grant Miller, who's also been good, but RJ's been like insanely good, like rookie of the year type good. Yeah. We didn't expect to see that, so good. Like you said, good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't a great series. We gotta, I guess, moving forward, we just gotta figure it out. We gotta gain a little bit of confidence back in ourselves. I mean, I know Ward has definitely been a little conflicted on that front. In terms
the confidence front.
Yeah, I mean, after a couple series of not batting so well, you're like, what's going on? Why can't I see these things? And I mean, I think we just got to build that confidence back up on him. You know, he's got to realize that, like, dude, you're a pretty sick player when you're like in your mode and you're doing well. Like, you can compete with anyone. So he's just in his own head kind of thing. And, you know, we're all struggling to find the motivation. I'm just like, dude.
Yeah, it sucks. I told you guys. I came on the podcast after we got swept, and I was struggling to speak about it because I went from being like, I think this is our year, like I'm feeling great, and then I left the Meadows that day. I was like, God, wiffle ball sucks. Like this, like I couldn't hit anything. It's so frustrating, and that's just how it goes.
That's how we were, man. We were walking into that series. I think I recall you saying, like, you were like, I wasn't being cocky, but I was confident we were going to win that series. I was the same exact way. I was like, this guy. I'm like, he's not throwing me unseeable pitches. You know, there's definitely some I could take advantage of. And like, no, I mean, dude, it was just one of those. It was a razor scooter to the ankle kind of tough, man. That was tough.
I feel you. I feel you. It was tough too in the rain. I was just like, put these poor guys out of their misery. It was so bad.
And dude, here's the thing too, is I've seen some of the comments too on, like, when we bat, like, clearly, like, right now when we don't have Longman, and Longman would probably be our go-ahead fourth, batter, and someone who's seen a lot of pitches, done a lot of things, played in KWL, like, all that good stuff. I mean, we have to bat fourth, so we got to bat either Rudy or McGlade right now. And what you don't see a lot of times is all you see is the final pitch, right? You don't see how many at-bats really went.
We saw Rudy's long at-bat this week.
Right. And it kind of puts a little bit more of context into, like, okay, these guys, like, they're actually battling a lot of times. They're not just getting 1, 2, 3 down. They battle a lot. They foul off a good amount of balls. They just end up losing the fight at the end. And there's even a time with McGlade too. And when we had bases juiced in the second game, McGlade came up to hit. He smoked one, and the wind dragged it foul. Yeah, like, it would have been a grand slam, and right there. So, like, I guess when you look at the full picture of the series, it was tough to see because all you saw were goose eggs for 3 games. But there was if it was a normal series kind of thing, wasn't a rain series and this and that, there's a fair chance we would have had 3 home runs on the day with 6 to 7 runs. I mean, we had 2 that got dragged up by the winds and 1 that was just short, right? So, I'm not too upset, honestly, by our performance. You can look at the final result and say, yeah, it was a bad performance, but I think offensively we it could have turned very quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't take much.
We got
a bad day and a good day is a very fine line with football. It's the difference.
If a couple things went our way, more than they did, it would have been a 1-2 or a 2-1 kind of series.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like, we just didn't get it done. That's the end of the end result.
You didn't get it done. That's how it goes. I wanted to ask you too, specifically looking at game 2, some McGlade. That was tough too. That's what set the tone for the rest of the day. You guys lost the first game in extras, and then McGlade couldn't throw a strike. What was going through your guys' mind? And like, were you about to get out there and throw? What was the backup plan if McGlade couldn't find it? He did through it well, innings 2 and 3, but
dude, it's honestly McGlade's kryptonite. He's honestly like a pretty filthy pitcher. Like, no one really touches him all that often unless he leaves a slider hanging. But it's usually one inning. He has one inning where he can't find it.
Yeah.
And we'll let up a couple. So like in that instance, I think he walked 3 in and it was perfectly fine. And then we had the third out popped up.
Oh yeah. And he dropped it.
He pulled a TC3.
He did.
And after that, I was just like, oh, of course, like nothing going our way. And then he leaves a slider hanging to Curdy. And if you rewatch it, as soon as Curdy hits that ball, I just throw my hands up, take my hat off. I'm like, dude, he just hit a home run. Like, unbelievable. And it just hit the fence. And I was just like, man, that's going to be hard.
Yeah, the drop pop up, that'll hurt.
The rest of game 2, I mean,
he actually had a lot of movement, more than he usually does. He was throwing a nasty, like, screwball drop thing. It was gross.
Yeah. I mean, I think he got touched maybe one other time in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just, it's just, unfortunately, we got to figure out the one inning to have him have a complete game. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, it doesn't matter if we're putting up. It doesn't matter what kind of score he lets up if we didn't score any runs. We're not going to win scoring 0 runs. So,
that's true.
We got to help our pitchers.
Yeah, I think most teams in the league pretty much only have like 2 arms that like you want out there to start a game. After that, it can get a little dicey. Like, I have guys that could do it, but it's not the case for every team. So, and I'd put you guys in that category of pretty much only having the 2 arms. So if one of your arms isn't on a particular day, it gets a little scary when I'm watching. I'm like, oh boy, what are they going to do here if he can't find it?
Well, and was another part of our, reason to draft Longman. I mean, he does have the capability to throw. It would just be nice for him to show up, to be honest with you. We need the morale. We need the booster. We need a big at bat.
Need something.
We need someone to pick us up right now. And I'm doing what I can. I'm trying.
I know you're trying. I know you try hard, Russell. We talk a lot during the series, I feel like. Not so much last time because of the rain, so I was stuck to the camera with the umbrella, but we do usually chat. Well, it's interesting because we're kind of in a very similar situation right now heading into this Philadelphia matchup. I thought a couple months ago it would have been like, the first place Mallards and the first place Predators are squaring off in this epic game. But now we're a combined 3-9, I think, as 2 squads total. So not what we expected to see, and it creates the thing where it's like, okay, really got to win some games here, and it's going to be a high-pressure environment too. High
stakes in a crowded environment on a field we do not know.
Correct.
It doesn't feel comfortable, right? So
it's going to be uncomfortable. That's good. It's going to be, the fences will be a little short out in Philly, I know for a fact. So the ball's going to be flying, probably going to be some high-scoring games. Fans are going to be loud. It's going to be packed in there because you don't have a lot of room to like stand and watch. So it's going to be jam-packed. And we both need some wins. So it's going to be interesting to say the least.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun riding out there with everyone.
Well, hopefully there's not one team that got swept on the way home and everyone's just like down in the dumps bad. If you guys are riding home 1-8, I don't think it'll be too fun of a 9-hour car ride home. Same for us if we're 2-7. So
yeah. But I mean, what are the NL standings right now?
The NL standings we are 2-4. The Eagles the Eagles and Diamondbacks haven't played yet. So
gotcha.
We're 2-4, and the Gators are also 2-4. And then going into their next series, the Diamondbacks were 2-1 and the Eagles were 1-2.
Okay.
So now it's technically lopsided on the negative side, but the Eagles and Diamondbacks still have to play.
So okay, you guys have a little bit more wiggle room than we do over here.
Oh, I mean, by a game.
Yeah, but I'm saying in terms of the competitive schedule and rankings of the NL side.
Well, the Gators are right next to us, so we still have to play the Gators head-to-head, so we still control our own destiny and everything like that.
Right.
So you guys got the Mallards, and then the Wildcats, and then the Cobras. Those are your last three?
Yep.
It's a tough draw. Like I said last week to Jack, the AL coming into the year I thought was the worst division, but I'm starting to change my mind a little bit. I think there's a lot of talent over there now with the Magic surging like they are. I
would agree. I don't know
if the Magic are for real. I guess we'll see. Time will tell. But 5-1's pretty darn good.
I will say in our series, at least, I think that the batting for them is I think is their weakest point right now. I mean, Grant's hitting really well. He's putting the bat on the ball, and Curdy's been doing surprisingly well too. But other than that, they haven't really had much help. And I guess in our series, like that was kind of the same thing. I mean, we only had 3 hits, but I think they maybe only had 4 or 5 at the same time.
Probably like 6 or 7.
Like I said, they've clearly got something going on there. They got a good morale going. We just need to piggyback off of that, and hopefully Warda catch myself, and Rudy can pick up the bats there.
Well, you guys have proven before that you can do it. The Magic are still like learning, a lot of new talent there. So, but you guys have done it. You guys put it together again. The Preds I'm seeing right now are the Preds I thought I was going to see last year. I was low on you guys last year. You played great the whole season. This year, I'm like, okay, the Preds are back. They're contenders, and now you guys have not been playing well. So
yeah, just count us as the underdogs 9 times out of 10, and we'll be happy. We'll play a little bit better. Like we'll play a little bit looser. I don't know what it is, man, but like sometimes we come into a series. This happened to us with the Cobra series last year, where we come into it like pissed off, and we're gonna roll these kids, and then we just get swept. And we're like, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And Warda kind of came into the series with the same mentality, like, dude, we gotta destroy them. We gotta do this. We gotta do that. And I'm like, let's learn from our mistake last year, and we kind of didn't. And
I think the mentality is gonna be a lot different for both teams going into Philadelphia. We're both like on our heels a little bit.
Play a little bit more conservative.
Yeah.
Or is it a time where we push down and play a little bit more aggressive? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
I don't know, but I do know that we blew a lot. You guys never had a lead in the last series, and we blew every lead that we had. So games need to be won. Someone's got to win. Someone's got to win in Philly. I don't know who's going to be. I know. Unbiased, I do wish you luck, and may the best man win in Philly, I suppose.
Yeah. Thanks, man. You too. I'm looking forward to it. Honestly, I just want to have some fun.
I do too. That's why it's a bummer that like the stakes are so high.
I know,
but
it'll make for a good for the community that comes out and viewers.
It'll be a little bit. I'm sure it'll be overall fun, but it'll be a little bit intense. Definitely people that want to win. So it'll be competitive, and I do think we're even though our records are bad, I think we're 2 good teams, so it should be some good with.
Absolutely, absolutely agree.
But I appreciate you coming on the show today, Russell. You're a highly requested guest for me. After your first performance a couple months ago, I was like texting Jack when I was editing that episode we did out in Peoria. I was like, this guy's voice is beautiful. Like Russell is built for radio. It's such a good podcasting voice. Probably doesn't sound quite as silky smooth today. You shouldn't have a microphone, but in the first one, I definitely enjoyed editing it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. I always love coming on. I always love talking with football, man. Or everything going on with the league too. So
even when your team loses 3 games, you still power through it.
Hey, yeah. I mean, you can't move on unless you face it, right? You gotta own up to what happened, and I mean, ultimately, we gotta learn from what happened, and so it's always good vetting it through you and the podcast, and getting some ideas and
That's
stuff.
How you move on. That's how you take the next step.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I gotta get Warda to help him to move on from it and be like, dude, listen, you're good.
I think it'll be good. A little road trip to Philly, I think will loosen everybody up a little bit. Back into our roots of having fun.
I completely agree.
But it'll be a good time. I'll see you soon, brother. Thanks for coming on the show. And we'll invite on Jack now and talk about the Magic and a little bit more of an upbeat conversation, probably.
Yeah. Have fun with that one, man.
I will. All right. Enjoy your day. And we're back. Part 2. Jack, thanks for joining me.
Hey, part 2. Happy to be here.
Part 2, new guest, new fit.
New fit?
Well, guys, Jack walks in from his Father's Day gatherings. I already gave a Happy Father's Day at the beginning of the episode with Russell. But he walks in looking good, and he said he was with the family. Church, he said, too. Yep. And I was like, you kind of look like you're dressed like a dad as well. I got to throw on some dad attire.
I felt like it fit the occasion. Sunday, Father's Day.
Yeah, for sure.
U.S. Open today. It's kind of like, also a golf outfit, sort of. So I feel like it fit the part.
It fit the part for sure.
Yeah.
Tossed on a polo, got my grandpa's watch on. So happy Father's Day to all the dads once again out there.
Yes, of course.
Let's get candid now, Jack. What's a father-son memory you can recall that you're fond of off the top of your head? First one that comes to mind. Not on the script here, but just thought of this. One
story that I always think of, I don't know why this sticks in my head, because at the time it wasn't really that much fun for me, but my dad was, is really into like motocross, like riding dirt bikes and things like that. And I was not really as a kid. I mean, like he tried to introduce it to me, and I did it for like a few years, but eventually like ended up not staying like with that sport or whatever. But I just have one very fond memory. Like I enjoyed it. Going up north and like got the dirt bikes on the trailer, drive up to a cabin, like we're ripping, through the trails all weekend, like riding dirt bikes. And like, that was super fun. I remember that. But why it wasn't as fun at the time was because I was still learning how to like ride a dirt bike essentially. So I remember on one of the trails, it was a pretty sharp turn. Like it was kind of like a 90-degree turn. Okay. And
I've never dirt bikes, so I have a bad reference point here of like trying to understand, but I get a tight turn. I understand.
I mean, you may as well just picture yourself riding like a bicycle, and you would understand. Like I'm just going way too fast into this turn. Like I'm not gonna make this turn.
Okay.
I go for the turn anyway. I end up like, obviously missing the trail. So now I'm like in the woods, and I hit this rock that's in the woods so perfectly that it basically was like a kicker, like a ramp. Like a ramp. So I'm like airborne now, and I'm going right at this tree, and it's sort of just like throw the bike one way, throw myself the other way. So it was so like bad. There were a couple traumatic crashes along the way, but it all builds character. I think it's molded me to be the man I am today.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I think that dads are into that they want their sons to be into really bad, but it doesn't always work out that way. My dad and I have plenty of topics like that.
Yeah,
activities.
And I played like, I was really into football, lacrosse, as a youngster, and my dad played football in high school a little bit, but like he was really into baseball and like the motocross and things like that. And it was fine, it's like if you're not into it, like you're not
give
into
it a shot.
No worries, no sweat.
Yeah. I did mountain biking with my dad for a while. He was big into mountain biking. He's like me. He has like he finds something new and then just does it over and over and over
phases.
again. Yeah, he goes through phases. I'm very similar.
I agree.
But if I had to share a memory, one that cracks me up, I'm sure I've talked about him like dozing off during Lions games, the classic like dad nap on a Sunday, today.
Yeah.
But I remember a time, when you're at that part of your life when you're like kind of a teenager and growing up as a kid, you probably went to the movies with your dad or mom a couple times or several times throughout the course of your life.
Yeah.
And then like that's not a cool thing to do anymore. So I was kind of at that point where I was probably like, I wasn't that old, maybe like 12 or 13. And my mom was out of town for the weekend, so it's the dad and the kids, and he's like bugging us all to go to a movie, and like no one wants to go. He wants to see Lincoln. There was a movie about Abe Lincoln that none of us had any interest in seeing, but for some reason he heard about it, heard it was good, and like forced all of us kids to go. So we get in the car, we load up, we go to the theater. None of us are happy. It's grumpy kids. The dad forcing him to do it.
Yep.
And I remember this movie's brutal. Okay, I'm not a history buff at all. I didn't enjoy it. It did, I think, it was a critically acclaimed movie, I think, but it was just not my...
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, not my style. So anyway, I'm like suffering through this, just like being a negative Nancy kid, like being grumpy and wanting to go home. Not like talking that, but just thinking that while this movie's going on. Out of popcorn, just, not in the best of spirits. And I look to my left, and my dad's just snoozing, and I really hit him. I went, dude, you made me come to the stupid movie. Wake up and watch it. And we left the theater. He's like, that wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, that was not that good. And he apologized, but it was classic. Funny story.
One time, so we always we've made jokes on this podcast about like how horrible I am at throwing a wiffle ball. Like I can't do it.
Yeah.
And I would say throwing a wiffle ball is a lot more similar to throwing a baseball than like throwing a football.
Correct.
Like I can throw a football. I'm still not very good at it, but
sling it like Uncle Rico.
I can throw a football. Yeah. Not quite. Not like Uncle Rico.
Not over the mountains.
Not over the mountains, but I can. And for some reason, like I can't get the baseball, like wiffle ball throwing motion down. Like I'm not good with it. And one time I was like, Dad, how come we never played like catch in the yard, like you know, with a baseball or whatever. And he was like, well, you couldn't hit me in the glove, and I got sick of like chasing the ball, so he just stopped playing catch. I was like, all right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Like, probably would have done the same thing. It probably would have got pretty annoying really quickly.
Good dad,
But
though.
it's I think it's I've never been able to throw those type of that motion.
It's all right. You're good at other things, Jack. You're a Division I athlete, so he did something right.
I guess so.
You know, you can't be good at everything.
No, you can't.
You're not Jimmy Norp or something. You know,
No.
you're not good at bowling
No.
and whatever else that guy does that he's good at.
Not
But
good at bowling.
Ping pong, everything he does, he's good at.
Everything.
But shout out to all the dads out there. Shout out to Mr. Schultz, a big part of the MLW formula. We appreciate all your guys' support and all the dads that have driven kids to games over the years. So happy Father's Day, everybody.
Totally.
And give your dad a big hug and tell him you love him.
He deserves it.
He deserves it. He's a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Wherever he is out there, he's a good guy. But let's get back on track, Jack. Wanted to talk to you about the series. I already talked to Russell. Our conversation was not in the best of spirits earlier today. Obviously, it was early morning, Sunday morning. You know, he's going golfing later, big plans. So, like, not in the best of spirits. Nothing exciting to talk about.
Talking about getting swept.
Swept in the rain. Like, could it get any worse than not scoring a single run on a rainy day? Not sure it could.
No, I don't think it could. It was tough for them.
And you talked him up. You said, you know, you learned how to play in the muck playing with the Preds.
I did.
But apparently, they weren't ready for the muck.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about it on the drive over here, whether the difference in the game was really our pitching at, you know, much higher of a level, or just like it was an off day for the Preds batting.
Okay. I'm glad you're bringing this up because this is where I wanted to steer the conversation.
Okay. And I guess my conclusion that I came to was that I think it was a little bit of both. I think I think both of our pitchers, RJ and Trevor, did a phenomenal job, like scouting, locating their pitches, mixing it up, keeping them off balance. And I think the Preds just sort of missed that like they never had like that spark momentum moment that you typically would see at some point in a Predators series. Like it's either like Cratch hitting a bomb or like Russell with like an occasional like random bomb that gets him going.
Yeah.
You know, Warda, like I don't think he had a hit the whole series either. So they just never had that like, and they were putting together good at bats. Like that, the first out,
like they started to wither away as the day progressed, but at first, especially, yeah,
they did. And, like, it's funny you say that because the point I was going to bring up is that the whole first game honestly felt like a playoff game. Like it was like very intense from the beginning.
I think it was just the setting, the rain.
It was,
yeah,
but it was also like the very first at bat of the game was a really good, like it was like a long at bat. Cratch had fouled a couple off, and it sort of like set the tone for the whole day. And you can see like how pumped up RJ was after he got that out, which like the first out of the game, it's like, all right, like settle down. But like that was like a big out because that's like their best hitter against, you know, our rookie pitcher, kind of like setting the tone for the whole day, and he like struck him out. So like I thought that was like a really good tone setter for the whole series.
Yeah, it's probably too. It's, you know, it's hard to think about RJ's mindset, what's going through in his head, but him being a fan too, thinking like, okay, I got to get out Ryan Cratch right here. It's probably a good moment of like, dang, like I struck him out. Like, it's a cool thing to get, like you said, set the tone for the day and like maybe give him a little bit of an exhale. Like, okay, I do belong. Get more reassurance, you know, more reassurance.
100%. Yeah,
so,
I agree.
So what, not to cut you off.
Yeah.
But what you were saying about how you thought it was a little bit of both of like the Preds being off and RJ pitching good. And I agree. And I told Kyle that like after the video and after the series, I was like, you know, of course I'm going to keep gassing up RJ on the pod because he's done great.
Right.
You can't do any better than what he's done. 0 earned runs and 4 starts.
Yeah.
But in the nicest way possible to RJ, I don't want us to just think like, oh, he's like untouchable. This guy, like, you know, the Preds did have a bad day.
Yeah.
And I can't say for certain that RJ is like that incredible.
No.
And it was nothing like they hadn't seen before. I guess arm slot and height, yes. But we saw a lot, more than I have from anybody else, of strikeouts on sliders. Like most guys in the league have figured out how to hit a slider by now, and the Preds couldn't seem to figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's, again...
Sliders kind of become a lost art in this league. A lot more drops and risers and two seams.
Yeah, well, they are kind of a pitch, like it's kind of a pitch I feel like that becomes more predictable and like easier to track. Like
we've been seeing them for a decade.
The good hitters they'll track it. But even like anyone's slider, I feel like is more consistent than like their drop. if that makes sense. Like usually sliders move like the same.
My strike pitch, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's more that they haven't seen him before. Like he's 6'5". It's coming from a different angle. It's coming from a different slot. Like I think if we played them again, you know, next week, that's the other thing is the Predators are really good, and like Ryan's really good at making adjustments and like scouting. So if we played them again, I think, you know, they would definitely have a lot more success against RJ. I think it's just that game one, they were feeling him out. And then as you said, I think their like confidence kind of like dwindled as the series went on, if that makes sense. So. Yeah,
it was a tough, I mean, once again, when the weather's bad, it kind of magnifies everything else. When you're kind of cold, uncomfortable, you're wet, you can't buy a hit. I mean, I've been there on the Mallards plenty of times throughout, like I told Russell, 2020, 2021, when we really struggled at the plate. It's not fun. And we had the same problem with the Wildcats when they swept us, and my guys started to kind of shut down throughout the day. That's how you get swept. You gotta try to keep it. You gotta try to get one. And the Predators, that last inning, especially in the third of game 3, I felt like they were kind of just giving away their at-bats, you know, waving the white flag at that point.
I mean, one thing I will say is like, and this is not like a dig on the Predators at all, because like we felt it on the Magic too last year when things weren't going our way, that it was kind of like the domino effect down. But I feel like, you know, when I played on the Predators and from like what I've seen from them over the last couple of years, it's like when it's going their way, it's really, really good. And they all feed off that. And like, they all kind of get on the momentum train, and then vice versa. Like when it's going bad, it's like, they're all kind of, you know, they're all kind of falling down on that same path.
Okay.
So I think that's just, they caught a little bit of that today. I think it's just a little bit of both. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Really good pitching from us and just an off day from them.
Yeah, I think RJ still has a lot to prove, but the Preds have to improve.
Yeah.
I think those are both happening at the same time there. So I agree 100%. Yeah. But end result, 5-1. How's it feel?
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
You know, it's nice to see the Magic kind of at the top of the standings there when you see the graphic at the end of the video.
Always feels good.
It always feels good.
Being at the bottom.
What I will say, and kind of what I told the guys on our team after our last series is like, regardless of our record, I feel like we still haven't even come close to reaching our full potential and like our best wiffle ball. And I think we still have like a lot to prove just as a team.
I definitely think offensively, a lot of room to grow. A lot of room to grow still.
Yeah. I mean,
which is nice when you're 5-1.
Yeah.
It sucks when that's like when you're the Preds and you're 1-5 and the offense hasn't been producing. It's like, dang, pressure's on now.
Yeah.
But you guys are in a good position now where you can keep grinding away at bats and staying positive. You know, there's not a lot of pressure on you right now, I guess. So to perform, but
I feel like we are still kind of, I feel like that's been helping us so far, is like we haven't felt like there was pressure like where there was last year.
Yeah.
You know, we felt like there was more pressure last year than there is this year. And I think that's helping us out a lot. One thing I will say is like, got to kind of call it how it is. Really our production on offense has basically just come from Grant. And I guess couple positive and a couple, you know, negative things. Obviously, we want to get as many people hitting as possible. It's better when your whole team is hitting. Like, you can't rely on one guy. I wouldn't be surprised going forward if teams start just like not even pitching to him. Because like just to make the rest of our lineup kind of prove it.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, what I will say is like, when we have the confidence that, you know, he has the ability to bring us home, I feel like it's been giving our team as a whole better at bats. Like,
yeah, it does.
Like, I'm not sure the exact stats on the game, but I just feel like through the first 2 series as a whole, our team has been much more willing to like take some more pitches and get on base, because we're not as worried about like trying to make a play, trying to make a hit. Cause it's like, if we get on base, like he's probably going to get us home. Like there's good odds that he'll get us home. And like, for example, in that game 1, I think I came up with 2 outs with a guy on 3rd and 2nd and like two walks in a row, and that got us the win. So, I think just sort of, like I said, we got to have some more production from the rest of our team. Like, it was nice to see Curdy get involved and come up
Curdy.
clutch in game 2 and get a hit. But like, I definitely got to be better. I know Trevor knows that, you know, he's got to be better. I like what I've seen so far from AJ. I think he's kind of just.
I think there's a lot of potential there. I think
he's still getting the feel for things, and we'll start to see him come around. But definitely that's like a major improvement point still.
Yeah, but like I said, it's nice to be 5-1.
It is nice to be 5-1. It's better than being 1-5, which is where the Magic typically are. Yeah. At this point in the year, and having to claw our way back.
Yeah, you play looser. You know, when there's not as much pressure. I was talking to Russell and talking about how the whole entire vibe of next week's series in Philly has kind of changed because both of our squads need wins. It's very important too. It's it's going to be fun. It's going to be a once in a lifetime experience.
Intense,
but it's going to be there's a lot on the line because that can make or break your season if you have a crappy day again. So we're looking forward to that. But I also wanted to ask you too, because it is relatively new still with adding AJ, Grant, RJ. The vibes seemed pretty loose and good during the mic'd up session when you were talking to AJ. That was funny. Good segment. But like, how has the chemistry been? Does it still feel a little bit new and weird? Or you liking how everyone's meshing?
I mean, we talk about how important team chemistry is, and I couldn't ask for more of like the guys thus far at this point. The returning guys, Trevor and Jordan, have just been like extremely welcoming to the new guys, like the glue guys. Really just making them all feel, I would hope, you know, welcome. And as I try to do, obviously, as well. And it seems like the guys that all the guys on our team are really like selfless in a way where they understand that like some guys aren't going to play certain games, like trying to get people involved, like really just want the team overall to win. And
that's awesome.
I think the addition of Grant being someone who's an older person in our league and RJ who's like one of the youngest has actually worked out like perfectly in a way, because it's like you get the young gun who is really, you know, fired up and like ready to play, and then you kind of have the older, wiser guy who's there to like, you know, tell him what he needs to hear throughout the game. Because Grant's just like his wiffle ball knowledge, like he's just been around this sport for so long that I think he's sort of like kind of in RJ's corner a lot, you know, backing him up. I
see it. You guys could probably hear it too at the Meadows, the chatter. And Grant and RJ are talking a lot in between pitches. I kind of actually, I don't know if I should say it was inspired by Grant. Maybe it was subconsciously, but I was doing a very similar thing last series against the Wildcats, where I was like in Caden and Jordan's ear, like about certain pitches to throw in certain counts, because I know the Wildcats pretty good, whereas they might not. Yeah. So Grant does a great job of that.
Yeah. I mean, I can't speak highly enough of
a great leader.
The guys that we've all the guys we've added, and AJ's been, you know, he's been paying his dues, and like he's coming out to the Meadows just like everyone else and showing up. So it's, I like I said, I can't really ask more of them in terms of like just working as a team together thus far.
Yeah, it's been impressive. I think we all knew you guys would improve a lot, and I think a lot of that was because of Grant. All eyes were on him. We knew RJ could be good. There was a lot of question marks there, like how would he translate over to MLW, and it's kind of a lot of pressure if you're that young and you've been a fan of it. Being thrown into that, and the travel's a lot for him and his family. So it's been pretty awesome to see him succeed. I'm really happy for him. He's a really nice kid, as you guys, I'm sure you can tell from the interviews and stuff. Really well spoken. His podcast interview was awesome.
He did really well.
I entertained having him on here again today, but it is Father's Day, so a lot of guys are busy, and so great kid. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, one thing I will say about RJ is like he always just seems like he's having a great time out there. Like he just seems like he's having so much fun.
But that's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be like when the Preds are going up there in the third inning, like clearly frustrated and distraught. It's like that's not what it's about. You're not going to succeed that way. And a game is like quirky as wiffle ball is. It is like you got to have fun when you're playing.
That's true. I think if I like obviously RJ's production and like his play has been outstanding. What I will say is like I almost wish he could have been put in like some more difficult situations like earlier on here to like gain more experience. Like he hasn't put himself in those situations yet, you know.
He's been avoiding.
Like ultimately he's gonna like when those come up, like he'll be the one to put himself there.
Yes.
But like adversity is inevitable, and so like at some point in the season he's gonna give up a run, and then it's like, you know, he's gonna give up a home run. Like it's inevitable. So like seeing how he responds when those things happen is like what I'm interested to see next, because I know what I'm going to get with him in terms of like enthusiasm and energy and overall like just skill and production on the mound. But it's kind of like have yet to see that sort of how he handles adversity. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting pretty technical here, but it's like that's a factor in managing and like in you and Grant's leadership too of like trying to manage that, because I think one thing that will, assuming you guys stay on track to make the postseason and you do make the postseason, that's a big jump. Yeah. Because those series are so short. Unfortunately, we saw Dallas last year. I'm going to call out Dallas. He kind of fell apart in that postseason series against the D-backs and got frustrated visibly, and it didn't end well for them. Yep. And even myself, who hadn't played in the playoffs in 3 seasons, going out there against the D-backs, like I felt the pressure of the moment a little bit too, because you want to win, and you feel you know there's fans watching, and you want to just have that accomplishment. So that'll be something too to try to manage and keep him at his same normal, just an even keel, like same level. Keel. I keep telling him just like not too high, not too low. Like it's like you can't be, when things are going great, like you can't be up too high, and vice versa. It's like when it's not going your way, you can't just be down in the dumps. Like you gotta you gotta stay sort of even keel. And like I said, I think Grant does a good job of reminding him of that too. And like keeping him in that spot. Yeah, I think Grant's leadership definitely shows. The other thing I will say is, as you guys have noticed, and what was mentioned on this podcast before, I have not played in the field at all. Well, you can't throw the ball this year because I can't throw the ball. And I usually don't know where to be when the ball is hit in play. But that leads me to my point of Grant being in the outfield, I think has also just increased like our defensive ability too. Like from last year, I think he's done a really good job on the balls that have been hit in play. Like, so I'm communicating out there, on that foul ball. Like, I just think he's a good presence and like leader out there that, you guys we need defensively. You've been jogging out bottom to right and then Grant to left, right? It's been kind of the formula. That's kind of been the way we're rolling. Yeah. That's kind of been the way we're going with it. Yeah. It's been working so far. So I got to give a shout out to Warda, even though I don't think the play was made. Warda almost hit the splits out there. Do you remember that? No. There was a play at first base where Warda like really stretched like a first baseman and he almost hit the splits. It was crazy. I don't remember that one. I think it was in game 3, but give Warda a special shout out. Was that when one. Curdy got a hit? I don't know. I don't know. I know Curdy got his hit in game 1. Yeah. He was all hyped up, but I was with Curdy over the weekend and he's cracking me up. Just I was talking to him about wiffle ball and stuff, and he's such a funny guy. Yeah. But he's definitely into it. All you guys are very dedicated, which is cool. Yeah, I will also just give props to Trevor. Like 2 years ago, I believe it was now, we made that trade to acquire Trevor. And when you make a trade like that, it's almost like not like a given, but for someone like that, it's like he's going to be the ace. Like he's going to be, our A1 pitcher. And with RJ pitching the way that he has so far, like Trevor's kind of fallen into that number 2 spot now. It was good to see him come out in his first game of the year and get a shutout. But he also, like, back to the point of like the guy's just doing whatever it takes for the team. Like he's been totally fine with that. Like no complaints from him. Like whatever the team needs. And so that's made it like really easy too, from like a management standpoint. I mean, that number 2 spot's an important spot. Yeah, it really is. Like that game 1 win was such a relief because I was really confident in our game 2 matchup. I know the Predators didn't have their rookie pitcher there, which they probably would have loved to have him there, but McGlade is a good pitcher. He just it got away from him in the first inning, but he settled in after that. His movement was nasty. That was the most movement I've ever seen McGlade throw with once he figured it out. It was puzzling me for sure. And he dialed in and he did a great job after that kind of that first inning. So, but I was confident going into that game, and it was nice to see Trevor just like come in, and it was like riding a bike for him, just throwing strikes. So I think that sort of, that secondary matchup is going to be huge for us in the series going forward, that second game. Yeah. How you guys feeling about the Cats? That's the next on the docket. Oh, man. It seems like the Cats are always just the big enchilada in the AL. Cats are good. You know what I mean?
They don't really have many weaknesses. Like they don't have very many weaknesses. I spoke about the like RJ, potentially seeing some adversity. Like this is a team that has really good hitters all around. Like they have arguably the best hitter of all time leading off for them. They have probably the kid who I will say hits the ball just as hard as Grant on their team, and Nick Saylor, young buck, Jackson Pearson. Like he's been hitting bombs already this year. Haven't seen Jackson from like a batting standpoint. Like I haven't gone against him yet, which will be interesting because, none of our guys have batted against him yet. So that's another variable for us. But I think we're just going to kind of think about controlling what we can control and come up with a good game plan that we think is going to win. That's something that we've been doing so far this year, is kind of having like some team meetings before the series.
I think I caught wind of this. A little Zoom call or phone call or something. Yeah,
some team meetings kind of before the series, just to hash everything out. Typically it's kind of like I got my game plan and I present it, and then it's sort of like open floor from there, and it's just like honest, like I agree with that or don't agree with that, or
business casual.
Yeah, it's suit and tie.
Okay,
suit and tie. But
you get a +1 to these or no?
No, it's strictly confidential. You have to be in a soundproof room to take the call.
Got it.
So no, but it's I think it's helped us out. So I think just kind of staying to our process, like focusing on us is all we can really do going into the first place battle against the Wildcats, which is crazy.
Could be a 1 seed determining series.
Very well could be.
It's very early to say that, but
very well could be.
It could be.
Yeah.
It'll lead you guys into the All-Star break, but I'm looking forward to that one. I think the upload schedule is going to be a little bit wonky, guys, because of the Detroit game getting delayed. So the Detroit series is going to round off slate 2. I think we're going to lead off slate 3 with the Philadelphia series. It'll be back-to-back special series uploads. Ooh. And then I think after that it'll be Eagles Cobras, and then it'll be Magic versus Cats.
Okay.
So that'll be like after the 4th of July be uploaded. But
sweet.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to slate 3. One more series to round off slate 2, and that is the Detroit video, which will be coming out this Friday. That's exciting. We've structured it well. Moving from Comerica to Wayne State now, we've kind of branded this series as the historic Detroit series. So we're really going to go into the history of both the corner ballpark where games 1 and 2 were played, as well as Wayne State University and that baseball field. A little bit of history on the city, interviewing people that were at the events, as well as like talking to players and Mr. Schultz, like what their experience has been like going to Detroit growing up for sporting events and other things. So Kyle's trying to take a pretty creative approach to this and hopefully create a great end video. So
very cool.
I'm excited.
Very cool. I always love when there's a little bit of breakup in the action.
Keeps it fresh. It's still a series. It's still our bread and butter, but you got to put a little fun twist on it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing the fans react and the world react to the back-to-back Detroit-Philadelphia 1-2 punch.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
Dynamite.
So it's exciting. And
the Philly, you said, is you versus the Preds, right?
Yeah. 2 teams that have not had hard starts.
Wow.
So
that is going to be a intense series.
It is. That's coming up this Saturday, guys. Tickets have been sold out to that event for a while. If you're lucky enough to have gotten them, congratulations. I'll see you soon. But if you didn't get tickets and still want to come out to meet the MLW guys, to get pictures, autographs, play some pickup wiffle ball, we will be at the Phillies game. It's Phillies versus Mets at 4:05 on Saturday the 24th. So grab yourself a ticket to that. Come on out to the stadium to say what's up to us. All the players will be there. Kyle Schultz will be there. So looking forward to it. Nervous but excited. It should be a pretty cool event.
Are we expecting full squads for both teams there?
We are expecting. Should we do a little roster reveal here?
We'll
pipe it up. A little what were we calling that in the off season? A little
scoop.
Give them the inside scoop a little bit.
A little inside scoop for the fellas.
I think making the trip for the Mallards is everybody besides Caden Irwin, who I would love to have there to pitch, of course, but kind of jealous of him. He's on some immaculate vacation in the Cayman Islands right now, I believe.
Wow.
Yeah, so nice. I'm pretty jealous. So he's out.
It's an easy choice
and then I believe the Preds are going to only have 4. I don't think no Rudy and no draft pick, I believe, as of right now. So the 9 of us will be
core.
Just the core, which is what they need. They need their core right now more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be hopping in a van Friday morning, making the road trip down to Philly, and playing the whole series on Saturday. So
do you think we will get an appearance from Mr. Longman this summer?
I hope so. I know, obviously, not playing in the first 3 series if he does not play in Philly is a bummer.
Yeah.
But I think he wants, because we obviously talked to the draft picks that are being considered. And it's are you interested in playing?
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to make the drive? He was interested, but I think he is a pretty serious football player, maybe Division I, Division II type level. So I can see that being a priority, obviously.
Yeah.
So if it works out, we always try to schedule too to get guys there, but it's tricky, obviously. As you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd love to see him at some point for sure. He's a buddy of Ty Smith. They were in the same league growing up, so that's the Wildcats player you guys know. Longman was in that same group.
Oh, right on.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
So definitely someone they've been missing for sure, and you never know what kind of impact someone could have had.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously.
Definitely.
So it's tough. I dealt with that last year too, and I'm gonna not have Caden in Philly, but I didn't have Caden for the first 2 series of last year too. So you got to just keep your head high and work with
Keep
what you
grinding.
got. Brendan Davenport's gonna get his moment out in Philly, so we've been working for it. So
love it.
He'll probably get in the game to start.
Love it.
So it's exciting.
Nice. Good for him.
Yeah, exactly. But
good scoop.
Let's get into the comment of the week this week, guys. It comes from Colby, and he says, I'm going to go ahead and say that the Magic are legit. RJ Walgate. The dedication of this guy is insane. Superstar already. Plus, it's hilarious watching Kyle have to look up at him during the interview. And the reason that made me laugh is because when I'm sizing up the interview, getting the shot right in the camera, I started to chuckle, and Kyle's like, what? There's no good way to shoot this. Do you want to get on a step stool or something? Because there's no good way to shoot this clip.
You guys got to go back and watch the end of the post-series interview. It starts with RJ underneath the umbrella, but then gradually, I think Kyle just starts creeping it down. And so
the arms start to get a little tired.
RJ slowly is just inching out, and then ends up not under the umbrella. And then it's the scene from Talladega Nights where he's getting the interview, and he's keeps raising his hands. He's I don't know what to do with my hand.
Yeah.
RJ, there's water coming down from the umbrella, and RJ's looking at the camera. He's just you just see him put his hand up, and he's catching water in his hand. And then he realizes he's doing it, and he puts it back down. It's so funny. You guys gotta watch it.
That's
you guys
funny.
gotta watch it back.
Okay, I'll have to check that out
But
for sure.
He does. His sheer size makes for very awkward photo shoots, or not photo shoots, but just camera. Get him in frame.
Yeah, I know.
With Kyle.
It is
funny.
I hate hanging out with tall people or going out with tall people. It's just uncomfortable for me. I'm always looking up at people. Pictures always suck. I told Russell, if we ever take an MLW group photo, I'm not standing next to RJ. I will refuse.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it.
I mean, 6'5" is 6'4" is you're the tallest guy in 99% of the rooms that you walk in, and then 6'5" is sort of, I feel where life starts to become different, in how you go about.
You're tall.
You're just really tall. Everything is just different.
When someone sees you, you're whoa, you're tall.
Yeah.
Imagine being even taller than that.
We'll probably just mention how tall he is every time we talk about
it's
Magic.
shocking. He's so young too.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I hope RJ's a baller. I hope the guy can hoop and plays D1 somewhere. We can go watch him.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's a very serious basketball player as well.
Yes,
so
for sure. Good luck to him in his career.
Good luck.
We hope to see him blossom into a stud on the court as well as a wiffle ball field. But
Michigan State would love to have you.
Yes, go green. We'd love to watch you from the zone, RJ.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, appreciate everybody tuning in. Chris Cheatham once face planted off of a bicycle in front of his girlfriend. We will catch you all next week.
Pipe it up.